When you're trying to win back your ex, it's easy to get stuck on what you want. You're so focused on your desire for your ex, your single-minded goal of getting that second chance, that you lose track of the main thing that you need to be focusing on right now, your ex and how they're feeling. Because your ex's feelings, or lack of feelings, are really what's standing in your way of reconnecting. But the good news is that once you actually realize this, you'll see that there's a very simple step you can take to begin to shift their feelings in the right direction. And this very small shift is just the beginning of a massive change that will make them fall for you harder than you can really imagine. I'm Brad Browning, author of The X Factor 2.0, and I've helped tens of thousands of people win back their exes through my YouTube channel, my social media, and my one-on-one coaching program. And in that time, I've honestly seen some pretty shocking things. I've seen exes go from enemies to madly in love, right back to enemies again. I've seen people marry someone that they'd blocked just a few months before. And it all happens through subtle emotional shifts that are hard to notice until they change everything. And that's what you need to know right now above all else. And that is you can't change your ex's mind about the breakup by appealing to logic and practicality. Sure, you may be the best option for them on paper. You might have the best job, the most compatible personality, similar hobbies and values. But if they don't feel it, then none of that matters. Feelings trump facts every time when it comes to romantic love. We may think we're making the smart choice, but in almost all cases, we're just using our brains to justify the choices that our heart has already made. So, how do you change your ex's heart? So this isn't going to be as simple as flipping a switch in your ex's head and making them love you all over again. It's about building up certain emotional states in your ex and making it so they associate these states with you. If you can do this, then they're going to feel like they need your presence so that they can access those feelings again. And that is when you're going to become irreplaceable to them. So we'll start with the first feeling, and that is number one, emotional safety. So when the two of you were in a relationship together, just having you around made your ex feel safe. You were able to calm them down with your presence and your touch. You could make them laugh. They felt like they could be open with you and tell you whatever was on their mind. But the breakup obviously broke that connection. And now they feel like they have to be very careful around you. They don't know what to say to you or how to treat you, right? Just talking to you at all probably feels risky because they don't know what will come out of it. Maybe it'll lead to a big fight. Maybe you'll be angry or upset. And this is true even if your breakup was incredibly smooth and simple, which of course it often isn't. So if there was a lot of yelling, negativity, and drama around the breakup, they fear that any conversation is going to end up the same way. And it's even worse if your interaction since the breakup consisted of you begging for another chance, constantly pressuring them to talk to you, or repeatedly leaning on them for emotional support. All of these factors have totally erased the emotional safety net that they once felt in your presence. Now when they talk to you, they feel confused, scared, and concerned about what it all means. So you need to put your focus into rebuilding that emotional safety. That starts with ending all the clingy, pathetic behavior that you've been exhibiting. So obviously, begging for another chance is immediately off the table. That just puts pressure on them and pushes them away. And that may be obvious to you, but you need to know that there are ways to beg for your ex's love and attention without them even knowing that you're doing it. In fact, even the most harmless feeling interactions, when repeated, are going to send your ex the same message as getting down on your knees and crying in front of them. And this is one of the main reasons that you've heard me recommend going no contact in my other videos. Because if you stop talking to your ex, you stop putting pressure on them. Just cutting down on your interactions can really shift your ex's perceptions of you, even if you don't change how you treat them otherwise. Because constant contact obviously can be pretty intense after a breakup. It makes your ex think that you didn't get the message, and so they'll become colder and more distant to try to get away from you. They'll put up walls to keep you out. Whereas no contact obviously has the opposite effect. But if you do want to know more about no contact, you should watch some of my other videos on the topic that you'll find down below. But what's important here is what happens after no contact. Remember, you're trying to make your ex feel safe emotionally. So don't text your ex after 30 days of silence saying something like, hey, I miss you. I need you back in my life. Please give me another chance. Again, you're just putting pressure on your ex. You're asking them to make a huge decision right away, and until they feel safe around you, that decision is not going to go your way. So instead, your messages need to be chill, low stakes, and really focused on rebuilding that connection that you once had. So make an effort to reconnect without talking about your emotional needs or about the relationship. Show them that a message from you doesn't have to be a big deal. And pretty soon, they'll start to associate you with safety again, rather than fear and confusion. But it doesn't stop there, because safety isn't exciting. You also need number 2, which is fun and excitement. Now, I don't know what led to your breakup, but in most cases, the slow motion downward spiral that got you there probably wasn't particularly fun or exciting. And the longer that negative period was, the more your ex is going to associate your presence with that kind of negativity. And this goes for you as well, right? I'm sure you still have a lot of positive feelings of love and happiness associated with your ex. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here watching this. But it's hard to feel any kind of fun or excitement when you're obsessing over your breakup. And that's why the change really needs to start with you. So for a second, I want you to stop focusing all your energy on trying to get your ex back. Instead, I want you to do something that might feel honestly even harder for you at the moment, and that is just to have some fun. So try to take a couple of days off thinking about this problem. Trust me, your ex isn't going anywhere. Call up some friends, the ones you lost touch with during the slow motion train wreck of your breakup, and do something that you all enjoy. Go have some drinks, go to a water park, go for a hike, go shopping. Do whatever it is that brings you joy and just gets you out of your own head. And while you're there, try not to talk about your ex or your breakup. Focus on the present and let it all go for a bit. Not only is that going to give you some much needed relaxation, it's also going to give you some perspective. It'll show you that there is life outside of your breakup. Now, at first, letting go is probably going to feel impossible, but just after an hour or two, you're going to be surprised how easily you slide back into your old self. That fun version of you that you've lost touch with. Remember, this is the person that your ex fell in love with. And you need your ex to associate you with fun and excitement again. So when you and your ex are starting to reconnect and things feel a little too familiar, that's when it's time to be spontaneous. Ask them to do something neither of you have done before. Take them on a long drive with no destination in mind. Tell them a secret you've never told anyone. Now, this feels frivolous, but it really is important, because your ex needs to see that you're not the sad, pathetic person you were after the breakup. They need to see that you still have new sides to yourself to show off that they'll never see if they don't stick around. And that brings us to number 3, sadness. Now, not all of the emotions that your ex can't resist are positive. Fun and emotional safety will draw them towards you, but sadness is going to push them away from the lonely single life that they're living without you. Now, of course, there's only so much you can do to really give your ex this feeling, at least ethically. I'm not going to tell you to, manipulate their emotions or actively bring more sadness into their life. But the breakup itself is going to be a powerful source of sadness for your ex. And this is another place where no contact is going to be really effective. You see, when you stay around your ex after the breakup, giving them a shoulder to cry on, being their friend, or otherwise supporting them emotionally, you're actually helping them get over you. Because while it isn't drawing them closer to you in a romantic way, it's giving them an outlet for these difficult feelings. So all you really need to do is stop providing them that outlet. Make them face the breakup alone. Now, I know it's harsh, but this is the path they chose when they ended the relationship. They aren't entitled to your emotional support, especially if it's making it harder for you to cope and easier for them to move on. I know you love them, but if you help them in this way, you're actively taking steps away from your goal of winning them back. Now, of course, you probably need some support during this time as well, and that is why I offer one-on-one coaching to help you process your breakup and get your ex back. When you sign up, I listen to what you have to say, and I work with you to develop a clear plan for your specific situation. You can see my current availability at breakupbrad.com/coaching. I would love to hear from you soon. We can figure this out together. Again, get all the details and sign up today at breakupbrad.com/coaching. And finally, number 4, emotional heat. Now, all of these emotions are important, but there is one piece we're missing, and that is attraction. You need to focus on increasing the sexual energy between you and your ex if you want them to crave your attention and your presence. Now, this often fades with time spent together, but the good thing about a breakup is that it gives you both a chance to actually miss one another in more ways than one. So what you need to do is flirt with your ex like you did when you were first connecting early on in the relationship. Now, you do need to be careful because this can be a bit of a minefield. You don't want them to think that you're just looking for a booty call, and you don't want to scare them off by moving too quickly. So that's why, subtlety is key here. And really, that's what flirting is all about anyway, plausible deniability. You want the other person to think, are they hitting on me or am I just imagining things? And that's where the tension comes from. So take it slow and don't overdo it. Drop in something a little flirty every now and then and rebuild that attraction that you once had. And the good thing about having a past with somebody is that you can be confident that they're attracted to you and they miss that aspect of the old relationship. You just need to rekindle those fires and you'll add more reason for them to come back to you. Now, I actually previously made a video with 16 different tips for flirting with your ex. So if flirting and building sexual attention isn't something that comes naturally to you, watch that video next by clicking the pop-up here in the corner or the link in the description below. And that brings us to the end of this video. As always, I am Brad Browning, Breakup Brad, the Ex-Back Geek. Thank you so much for watching. Best of luck. See you again soon.